Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Late Night at the Lounge with your host. Don't need to see the bathroom with your host, Jesse, here at the conclusion of the Monday Night Football game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Carolina Panthers. San Francisco holds on to win by 11 points, covering that spread of 7 to 7.5, depending on when you got your number. Well, week 12 was a struggle for us in the Circa contest. We ended up going 2-3. We had 2 winning weeks in a row. And then we had a loser this week. Man, all 4 NFC West teams, 3 of them either covered the spread or got a push, where the Cardinals lost by 3. The number was 3 in the contest. You would have at least gotten a half a point had you taken the Cardinals, which I said on the show was my team I didn't use instead of the Vikings. Now, I originally had Tampa Bay, took them out and replaced them with the Vikings, so I didn't get a winner on either one. Both of those teams lost and lost convincingly. I have officially put the Minnesota Vikings, as long as J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback, on the do not bet list. They are off my radar for the foreseeable future. That guy did not play well. Man, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, what was up with that game plan? Chicago was missing their entire linebacking group, and yet they continued to try to push the ball on the outsides to the receivers, being covered by defensive backs, as opposed to trying to, work the ball over the middle against all these backup linebackers. That was just brutal. Them losing by 3, we had the plus 2.5. And then Seattle, they're the only team in the NFC West that didn't cover the spread. Rams covered. The 49ers just covered tonight on Monday Night Football. And the Cardinals got a push with the 3. If you got 3.5, if you got the number, prior to kickoff, you may have gotten a better number than the 3. Or if you got it earlier in the week and would have gotten an actual win instead of a push out of that deal. But boy, I've been all over the Rams the last few weeks. Why I didn't trust my instincts on that one, I don't know. When I decided not to go with the Bucks after I found out that about a third of their team came down with some kind of a sickness, it was kind of an indication that, hey, this team might not be up to par this week, and sure didn't look like it. And Baker getting hurt didn't help. So we got to see where that's going to lead to. But so after the 2-3 week, we are 9-6 in the third quarter and 34-26. So the thing is, the top 5. Let me pull this up here on the. What is up with that? Like, why would that? The top 5 had a tough week in the Circa Million contest. Even the leaders didn't have winning weeks, but we got here. Why can't we see this? I can't see the bottom of the screen there. Ooh, wrong one. Let me do this. There we go. Now we can see the full thing. The top 5, Lions lost, or didn't cover the spread. Patriots didn't cover the spread. Chiefs didn't cover the spread. Cowboys did cover the spread. That was our one game in the top 5 week. That was one of our 2 wins. And then the Cardinals got the push. So you went 1-3-1 in the top 5 this week, and we were the one winner with the Cowboys plus 3.5. Our other winner was the Browns plus 4, and they won that game outright. Those were 2 good calls, but boy, I'm really disappointed in myself this week. I had posted on X, be sure to follow me on X, at Dead Money Sports, that I was considering using the Jets, and the Jets ended up covering the spread against the Ravens. The Giants and Lions, that one, the line moved significantly after Jackson Dart was announced out, and yet the Giants still were able to hang tough with the Lions in that game. Patriots, did not pull away from the Bengals. That was only a 6-point win, I believe. And then you've got the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks were out to a big lead. They were dominating in that game. Then they give up a kick return for a touchdown, which was just, that's the second time now that I've laid a big number against the Titans. I laid it 8.5 against the Chargers, and they ended up getting 2 non-offensive touchdowns in that game, and ended up costing us the cover when they won. The Chargers won by 7. The line was 8.5. And then this week, they get that garbage time touchdown to get it within 1 score. But had they not had that kick return touchdown, we're looking at a different game there all the way around. And it's just, they settled for field goals early. Seattle did. It's just weird. I mean, JSN still had a big game, but I got some questions about Sam Darnold, man. He did not look as good as I thought he would after coming off that bad game. I already mentioned the Vikings. That was a loser for us, and I will not be backing the Vikings as long as J.J. McCarthy is the coach. This one, the Chiefs got the win, but not the cover, winning by 3 in overtime. And this was a very tight line with 22,600 entries combined. Cardinals get the push as the Jaguars get the win plus 3 in OT, and we were going to take the Cardinals plus 3 and just didn't pull the trigger. And I should have known better. I was listening to some of the other people that, give out their picks, people that I respect, and they were talking about McCarthy's inaccuracy issues and that he wasn't reaching the level of competent NFL quarterback. So, going forward, he hasn't shown me any reason to think that they're wrong. I should have listened last week, but going forward, I'll be looking for opportunities to fade the Vikings. Shedeur Sanders, they got the win. That was really the Browns' offense and some couple of big plays. I mean, Sanders didn't cost them the game, but he also didn't win them the game. I really find it amusing that he's been announced for the starter in Week 13, and people are talking about, did they find their franchise quarterback? Like, slow down, man. The guy won one game that the defense dominated a terrible offense in the Raiders, and he made like one screen pass that the guy took for like 80 yards. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. Give the guy some time, but there's talent there. He's just got to put in the work and have the team around him and have the coaching staff design a game plan the way, that will fit his game style, because they were really vanilla with like run on first down, run on second down, try to throw it for a first down and 3rd and long. And it's like, come on, man. Help the dude out. Falcons, man. Kind of pissed at myself. I also I talked about how not to take the Falcons because Drake London was out. But I liked Kirko. Like, I thought he would at least be more accurate than Penix had been. And he actually, before he got injured and was benched last year, he had a pretty good chemistry with Mooney. So I'm not surprised to see that their chemistry worked out. But it really was their defense and, Shuck just being a rookie quarterback. There's going to be regression in his ability as a first year starter as a rookie. It was just a tough spot. And the Falcons played tough the last 2 games, losing late. So kind of mad at myself that I didn't have the guts to take him, because I did make the slide for the NFL contest show with the Falcons. I had them and the Cardinals were the 2 other slides that I had made up. So I was kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't follow my instincts. Cowboys and Eagles. I mean, boy, we were lucky to get a point out of that one. Being down 21-0, but Dak, I guess he's 22-2 now against the NFC East at home. So I said it that his record against the NFC East and his record in these primetime games has been phenomenal. And once again, he shows why he seems to excel in those spots. And there's also some question marks about this Eagles team. Because the Eagles really capitalized on some Cowboys mistakes early in that game. There was the Turpin fumble, some drops by CeeDee Lamb early in that game. And then once the Cowboys got clicking on offense and the defense stepped up, man, the Eagles really had no answers. They were really just stagnant the other almost 3/4 of that game, not scoring any. They didn't score any points in the second half. It's just amazing that their offense just completely turtled against the Cowboys defense. That they've looked better in recent weeks with the additions that they made at the trade deadline, as well as players that have come back from injury. Some of their secondary players that was a real weakness of their defense early on in the season, was all those injuries they suffered in their secondary, that some of those guys are coming back now. But, you still have to wonder, are they a real defense? We'll see. We got some games coming up this Thursday, 3 of them for Thanksgiving, and then one on Friday. We're going to get to those in just a second. 2 more games. The Bucks and Rams. Glad we let go of the Bucks. I had a bad feeling about that one. That's why I took them out of the 5 from the NFL contest show, although the Vikings didn't do any better. But, man, the Rams really putting the NFC on notice. They're coming to play. Their defense is outstanding, and their offense is looking really, really good. They've got some real chemistry going with Stafford and Adams and Nakua in their running game. Their offensive line, I think one of their offensive linemen was out for the first time all year, and they should be back, but they looked like they didn't miss a step. And McVay's really dialing up these guaranteed plays, especially in the red zone. I mean, these throws that Stafford is making to Adams, these fade routes and shit. I mean, it's just almost unguardable. If he just, Adams does his little move and then breaks to the corner, and Stafford just got the touch, he just drops it over the DB's head and right into his arms. I mean, it's phenomenal. But man, they looked really good, and the Bucks look bad. We got to see what's going to happen with Baker and his shoulder moving forward. But the Panthers, they also lost tonight. So we're looking at a 6-5 team leading the NFC South. Panthers are 6-6, and the Falcons are 4-7. I posted on X, when will the no team with a losing record should be able to make the playoffs conversation start? Because it certainly looks like the NFC South is going to be putting a representative into the playoffs that might they might be 9-8 or 8-9. Who knows? We might have an NFC South champion with a losing record. They're definitely going to be all of the wild card teams are going to end up having better records than the NFC South representative. And more than likely, the NFC South representative in the playoffs is going to be a home underdog in that playoff game. Because they ain't winning they ain't getting the number 1 spot. They ain't getting the bye week. That's going to the Rams or maybe the Seahawks. But somebody in the NFC West is going to probably have the number 1 seed in the first round bye. So the NFC South representative is going to have a home game where they're going to most likely be an underdog. And then, man, this Panthers 49ers game, they just couldn't stop throwing interceptions. Neither team wanted to score points. They'd get down in the green zone there, in the red zone, and, a chance to score, and they'd throw interceptions. It was just a comedy of errors, and then San Francisco just stepped on the throttle there in the late third quarter, fourth quarter, and finally put some distance between them and the Panthers. And you don't know what to make of this Carolina team. Bryce Young 1 week throws for over 400 yards against the Falcons and comes out this week and throws a bunch of interceptions. Brock Purdy in this offense, they come out and they put up 44 points against the Cardinals, and then they come out and he's got 3 interceptions in the first half. Like, what's going on here? But the 49ers, they were like I want to say maybe the 6th or 7th most popular selection this week, gets the dub. So they were the number 1 selection in Survivor. So they advanced, the Ravens advanced, the Seahawks advanced, the Lions advanced, Packers. The 29 Raiders, I told you when we discussed this on Saturday on the selection show, these people put their chance at $18.6 million on the Raiders. I understand that you have to use 20 teams. But there's also 16 teams you don't have to use, right? Or 12 teams you don't have to use. So I don't know how they made it to this point in the season and had to use the Raiders. But, man, they're the big loser this week, with 29 entries being knocked out by the Las Vegas Raiders and the Pete Carroll, Geno Smith regime. They fired Chip Kelly, fired their offensive coordinator, and I think they're bringing in somebody else, Greg Olsen, not the TV former Carolina Panther Greg Olsen, another Greg Olsen. Patriots won, and then 5 lost by the Saints. This was the only head-to-head, the Falcons and the Saints, where we had 2 teams selected that were facing each other. And so this one entry, this one brave soldier here gets to advance. These 5 go down. And then the Rams, Jags, Bears, and Chiefs all won. So it was just the Raiders, Bills, and Saints that lost. So what do we have here? So 39 entries here. So we're just under 900. What was it, 895, something like that? 895 entries. Now we're going into the Thanksgiving weekend where they're gonna have to pick a team for Thanksgiving, Thursday, Friday games, and then another team for the Sunday, Monday games. I don't think anyone was eliminated here. Nope. The San Francisco 49ers get the win, as do the Seahawks. The Lions were the one sweat. I mean, Seattle was out to a big lead, and then they just let Tennessee hang around at the end. But the Lions, there was a real possibility they could have lost that game. And then obviously the 49ers with a little bit of sweating going on, but eventually they took the lead and didn't give it up. Carolina was never really a threat in that game. But now it's the Week 13 early lines. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got ahead of us, because we've got some games that start on Thursday. The first matchup, the morning game, the one when everybody is getting ready to head over to their family's houses or preparing food at home and getting ready for family to come to your house, or just getting ready to sit on the couch and watch football and enjoy some food. It's the Packers and Lions, a tradition like no other. Detroit on Thanksgiving. And Detroit, after that win, and the Packers with their big win against the Vikings, are 2.5-point dogs in Detroit. And the total sitting at 48.5. Now, my initial thoughts, it was -3 Detroit, so it's moved down to 2.5 here. It's a juice 2.5, though. But I went with Detroit, -3. I thought that was a spot here where they might be able to get right. I know the Packers' defense has looked okay, but you got to question the competition. And then the 48.5, this number seems high. I mean, they're showing 49s at some shops. Here, FanDuel. I would take, if you get under 49.5, I would definitely take the under 49.5. I think both of these teams are going to struggle. The Packers struggle early in games to score. Their defense is halfway decent, so I think they're going to be able to slow down the Lions' running attack. That, the Giants let them run all over them late in that game and in the overtime, but they weren't really doing much before that. I do like Detroit here. So the but it does give me pause that the line moved from -3 to -2.5. So the strong side I take is the under 49.5. If you can find that, take it. Chiefs and Cowboys. I don't have an opinion on this one yet. We haven't really gotten an opportunity to look at everything that's going to go on in this one, but it really feels like a good spot for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, plus the 3.5. They're riding high, playing some inspired football. Their defense is getting better. The Chiefs took all they could to beat the Colts at home. Now they've got to travel short week out to Dallas, taking on the Cowboys in this good passing attack by the Cowboys. So give me the 3.5 with Dallas. And again, if you can get, 52.5. If you can find under 52.5, I would take that as well. Everybody always wants to bet at the over on these holiday games, but I'm looking at the unders in those two. Bengals and Ravens. Ravens are now the first place team in the AFC North, taking on the Bengals, who will have Joe Burrow back, according to his IG posts that he's going to play this week. Jamar Chase will be back, but T. Higgins is out. Will Trey Hendrickson play? Not too sure. I haven't really gotten an opinion on this game with the side yet. The total sitting at 51.5. Again, this is another game that I would take the under. I know the Bengals defense has not looked good, but short week, condensed game plan. Lamar has an injured foot. He hasn't practiced yet. Probably won't see him running around too much the way we're used to seeing. Joe Burrow still going to have to knock the rust off if he does play, and he's missing his 1B receiver in Higgins, who's probably a number one on most teams. Yes, Jamar Chase is going to be back, but what kind of performance will we get from him with still a putrid offensive line and just his one really good receiver being available? No real rushing attack from the Bengals. So I haven't made a decision on the side here. We're going to have the contest show. The lines will be released on Wednesday. So we're going to have the NFL contest show, the Circa Lines release show here on YouTube on Wednesday. And we'll have a better understanding of what games we like, what games we don't like. Chicago Bears are the Black Friday game against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bears have just been on fire, winning that game against Pittsburgh, even with Caleb Williams fumbling the ball in the end zone for a defensive touchdown. Now they've got to go out to Philadelphia, play the Eagles, who just lost after taking a 21-0 lead to the Cowboys. The line is 7. The spread is 44.5. Will we see the return of these linebackers for Chicago? Who's playing, who's not playing? If I had to make a decision right now, I would take the Bears in the points and probably take the over 44.5. This is the over game of the weekend, of the early games anyway. And then the start of our Sunday slate, Texans at Colts. This has got playoff implications in it. The Colts are, they're stumbling right now. Jaguars won, Texans won. So, they've got some people breathing down their necks for this AFC South division. Now you've got this potent Texans defense coming in playing the Colts. Will it be C.J. Stroud or will it be Davis Mills? I mean, if Stroud's available, he's going to play. Is Nico Collins going to be back, or is he out? I think he got hurt in that game that the Texans won on Thursday. That really hurts this Texans offense because he's the guy who he's the deep threat that allows the underneath passing to go. So as good as this Texans defense has been, we've seen them struggle. I mean, they only beat the Titans by 3. They were very fortunate against the Buffalo Bills with the mistakes that Josh Allen made and the sacks they were able to generate in that game. So I'm going to take the Colts minus the 4 here. I'm going to lay the points. I think their offense is going to be more than enough against this Texans defense. As good as they've been, this Colts offensive line can protect Indiana Jones. And we're going to see Jonathan Taylor get right running the ball. We've seen the Texans give up some big running plays to other opponents. So, yep, give me the points. I'll lay the points with the Colts. Give me the -4. Now on the total, I don't know. This number seems right about on the number. You know, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be like a maybe 24-17 game. So, I mean, you go under 44.5. I don't think it's going to be high scoring, though. 49ers and Browns. 49ers just got the big win. They're fighting to stay in contention for the AFC West title because that's a tough battle with the Rams and the Seahawks in the division. And I mean, and the Cardinals have been no slouch either. They're a tough team, tough out. Now they've got to take on this Browns defense. This is going to be Shedeur Sanders' wake-up call because he's about to see this Robert Saleh defense that seems like no matter, they just swapping out pieces and they get it done. I mean, I know they were playing the Carolina Panthers and their Munchkin quarterback, who has had good games, though. But they were all over him. He had no time in this game. Can the Browns defense keep him in this game? It's at home. And we know the Browns defense has played better at home than they have on the road. But is this just the bookmakers trying to ride this Shedeur Sanders wave that the public seems to be all of a sudden anointing him the new Cleveland Brown franchise quarterback after one game against the terrible Raiders team? But yeah, I like it under a touchdown. -6 for the 49ers. I mean, Brock Purdy looked bad, though. Is he going to turn the ball over? Oof. You know, well, we're going to come back to this one. I want to get a better understanding of exactly what we're walking into on this one. Look at the total. 40.5 to 39.5. Yeah, we'll come back to this game. I'm not going to give it. I don't want to give an opinion on that one. Scratch the 49ers. Let's come back to that one on Wednesday. We've had an opportunity to go over all the numbers. Colts and Bucks. I mean, Cardinals and Bucks. Cardinals +3 on the road. Who's playing quarterback for the Bucks? That's going to be a tough question to answer. Who's playing for the Cardinals? It looked like they may have lost some guys to injury in that game as well. This number seems to be right on. Yeah, after that tough loss, it's going to be hard to rebound. And the Bucks are finally, they got a home game after back-to-back road games. I'm going to take the Cardinals in the points here. Give me the full 3. And give me the over. 28-24 Cardinals. Saints and Dolphins. I like the Dolphins here. I was already looking towards the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins to win. This number might be a little high. I hate this 5.5 number. If you can get the full 6, I'll take the 6 with the Saints, but I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. I hate saying that, but I just think this is too high. I didn't see a whole lot that I liked from Miami in that game against Washington. I mean, they did everything they could to try to give that game away and somehow came away with a win in overtime, and we had the Dolphins. So I thought for sure that game was done. I was like, all right, we're 0-1 to start today, and somehow we ended up 4-1, and that was one of our wins that week. Yeah, this is going to be a low-scoring game. So give me the under 42.5 and give me the Saints plus the 6 because I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think the Saints keep it close. If not, they might win outright. Rams and Panthers, double digits, 10.5 against the Panthers. They're going back home after the loss to Carolina. All those turnovers, their defense looked good, but they lost some guys to injuries in the secondary in that game against San Francisco. The Rams are looking like world beaters right now. It's hard to get in front of this freight train. I always say double-digit favorites are double-digit favorites for a reason. So I want nothing to do with this portion of this game right now. We're not gonna touch the side yet. Again, we'll have more on that on Wednesday during the live stream on YouTube. Why is this thing so slow? In the total, 45.5. I mean, that just seems so right on the money. Like a 24-20 game, 24-21 game. I don't think the Rams are going to blow them out. Falcons and Jets. Falcons now 2.5-point favorites on the road, facing the Jets with Tyrod Taylor. And who knows about this game? They lost one of their guys, Bowman, to injury right before that game. He's out for the year now, the rookie safety. That's a big loss. They are one of the better teams at pressuring the quarterback. Give me the -2.5 with Atlanta. I'm going to take them. I'm going to lay less than a field goal and expect Kirk Cousins to be able to play another good game. And Drake London should be back, which is a big, big upgrade. I mean, he was able to do what he did with Mooney and the other receivers this past weekend. If you get Drake London back against this Jets secondary, I just don't see how they have no answer for him. And then that opens everything up for Bijan and Algier. And then if you can get pressure on Tyrod and slow down Breece Hall, I mean, they really don't have any other, any other pieces on offense that scare you. Adonai Mitchell, he's dropping balls left and right. So, yeah, give me the Falcons -2.5. I know, fade them off that big win. That was a division rival. You're supposed to win those games. I think the Falcons are going to see that both the Bucs and the Carolina Panthers lost, and they won. And now they're on the heels of these two teams and have the potential to get themselves back into the conversation for the NFC South title. And remember, they do play an NFC South team in Week 18, so it could very likely come down to that game on whether or not who wins the division. So give me the Falcons. Give me the over. Yep, give me the over. Jags and Titans. I mean, I keep saying it and I keep, not believing it. But the Titans are going to have more ATS wins than they will straight-up wins. And that's almost a guarantee now. Because they've covered like 3 games in a row. And I think they only have 1 victory. So, yeah. I don't think the Titans are going to get over 4 wins. So, if they cover another game, it's pretty much a lock that they're going to have more ATS wins than they will straight-up wins. Now you got the Jags coming on the road. They're back-to-back road games. They just got the win in overtime against the Arizona Cardinals. And they beat up the Chargers the week before that. But now they've got to travel again. Man, this is going to be another spot to take the Titans plus the 6.5. And for some reason, they keep getting these non-offensive scores with their special teams. And if you get those kind of touchdowns, I mean, those are just spread killers if you're laying the points with the opponent. Another low total with 41.5. So, like, if they're not expecting a high-scoring game, how do you not take the points with Tennessee here? And, we're seeing some maturity or some maturation from Cam Ward. He made some hell of throws against Seattle, like some off-platform running to the sidelines, just throwing it back out there and finding his receivers. Like, he made some incredible throws to keep them in that game and kept drives alive. They converted like all their 4th downs, man. It was brutal watching it as somebody who laid 13.5 with Seattle. Just watching them just make these conversions on 4th down, on 3rd and 20, and 4th and fucking 10 and shit. Like, come on. When you have a team down that many points, they essentially have to go for it, on fourth downs, and they just kept getting the conversions. Like, come on. But I think they're going to be able to ride it. I mean, they've been at home now like 4 games in a row, something like that. I think this might be their 4th straight home game with the bye was mixed in there. So, yeah, give me Tennessee and the points. I know people are going to look to fade them, but it's the Jags I'm looking to fade here off their win streak. And Trevor Lawrence did not look good in that game, at least not in the beginning. Vikings and Seahawks, I've already said Vikings are off the list. I will not be backing the Seahawks the Vikings under no uncertain terms, but at the same time, I can't lay another big number with Seattle after what I've seen the last couple of weeks, because I'm seeing some regression from Sam Darnold, and I'm also seeing this defense get a little too cocky and not playing the way that they did earlier in the year. I have no faith in J.J. McCarthy, but he might not even be playing. He's in concussion protocol, so it's probably going to be their undrafted free agent quarterback, Brosner, which I wish they would have brought him in against the Packers. I think he would at least gave him a little spark. Instead, they let J.J. McCarthy stay out there until he got his brains mushed. So I want nothing to do with this game. I want nothing to do with the side because I can't trust the Seahawks, and I won't back the Vikings. And as far as the total is concerned, I mean, the Vikings defense is pretty good. They weren't responsible for that punt that it was a fumble or muffed punt, whatever, but it touched the returner after he let it go over his head, which gave the Packers basically a free touchdown. Other than that, they played pretty decently against the Packers, so this could certainly go under because the Seahawks defense is going to be all over this young quarterback. But I want nothing to do with this game at all. Leave it alone. Raiders and Chargers. I said earlier last week that I was looking to back the Chargers when they came off the bye, but with the Raiders getting beat up by the Browns at home, now this line is 9.5, and that just might be a little too much for a division rivalry game. I'm not backing Geno. There's no way. Put Kenny Pickett in there, quarterback, and I might give the Raiders a sniff. But until then, I can't do anything with the Raiders. And the Chargers, their offensive line, it really gives me concerns laying this big number. So we're not going to mess with this one. As far as the total is concerned, I would take the over. 26-20 Chargers. Maybe. Something around there. But I think they'll go over that 41.5. Bills and Steelers. Good game. Good game. Two teams that are desperate to find a victory and get themselves. Because right now the Bills are staring up at the Patriots. They've essentially lost the AFC East. They're going to have to get a wild card spot. The Chiefs are breathing down their necks. The Jacksonville Jaguars are breathing down their necks. I mean, there's just a bunch of the Steelers are now not leading the AFC North, so they're in contention for a wild card. So there's a lot of AFC teams that are good teams that are fighting just to make it into the playoffs because the opportunity for them to actually win the division is pretty much gone. I mean, the Steelers could still contend with Baltimore for that AFC North, but I doubt it. And the Bills, they're not getting the East title. That's the Patriots basically got that wrapped up. But this is I like the Bills here, and I like it even better now that it's gone to 3.5. It was 4. It was 4 yesterday. Now it's down to 3.5. I like Buffalo minus 3.5. They're going to get right. They seem to always bounce back after an embarrassing loss like that. And I think that embarrassing loss on Thursday Night Football against the great pass rush of the Texans, yeah, we saw the Steelers give everything they had in that game, and they didn't have it. Their offense, I had no clue what their offensive coordinator was doing. I could not understand why they weren't running the ball and throwing the ball to their tight ends. I don't know if it was just Mason Rudolph just throwing the ball out there, like that was his decision with the reads that he had, but like why you weren't calling plays for the tight ends to go after their linebackers just blew my mind. So yeah, I'm gonna lay the 3.5 with Buffalo and expect them to win. I know a lot of people are gonna look at this and say, it's a rah-rah spot for Tomlin at home as a dog. Josh Allen, I think you're gonna get him really motivated after that loss, and he looked pretty dejected in that Tennessee game, and then he was at his alma mater over the weekend getting his number retired out there in Wyoming. So yeah, he's not gonna want to be embarrassed again. And this is going to be a popular game as it's in the late window. It's going to be one of the more entertaining games of the late window because all we've got, this is a bad game. This is a bad game. This is the best game between two competent teams and another bad game. Now, this is the Sunday night game. So we've only got, 3 games in the late window? I think they moved one, but I don't think that one's any better. Oh, no, that's right. We got the Thursday games. That's why there's no Thursday and Friday games. That's why there's so few games. And give me the under 47.5. 28-20. Oh, that'd be 48. 28. No, let's say 26-17 Buffalo. Yeah, you're going to see a big game from James Cook and Josh Allen. And then we've got the Sunday night football game. Broncos, Commanders. From all indications, Jaden Daniels will not be back for this game. Now we've got the Broncos coming in. I think they had the bye. So they're coming off the bye. They've been hot. They covered the spread against the Chiefs. They won that game outright because we were on the Broncos with the plus 3.5. That was a big win for us. But the Commanders are probably the right side in this one with the 6.5. We're going to get Mariota. Will McLaurin be back? Who's going to be back for the Commanders on the offensive side of the ball? Who's going to be back for the Commanders on the defensive side of the ball? I'm still not impressed with this Broncos offense, although Bo Nix is making magic. They commit way too many penalties. Way too many penalties on the secondary. They are just an undisciplined team. And it's really Riley Moss. Like, he's the one that keeps getting flagged for pass interferences and illegal contact and shit. I think the Commanders, especially if they get McLaurin back, will take advantage. Let's see who else is going to be back for the Commanders. But as of now, man, I would take the 6.5 with Washington and expect them to be able to keep this Broncos offense in check. They haven't really looked like that great of a unit. They don't have very good receivers. They're decent at running the ball, but they lost their best running back. I think they could struggle. And Dan Quinn might just be able to get his defense schemed up to where they can go after this Broncos offense and take advantage maybe of some of the issues with the Broncos defense in their secondary and maybe use Mariota's mobility to avoid this Broncos pass rush. But give me the 6.5 with the Commanders and the under 43.5 because I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out, field goal fest. A rock fight between these two teams. And then the Giants and the Patriots. This game would have had a little more steam to it if the Giants were able to pull off the victory against Detroit. Even though they played them tough, had the lead, gave it up, fired their defensive coordinator because they've given up leads late in the last couple of games. Now they're getting 7.5 on the road against New England. New England got the win but did not cover against the Bengals, and now they're taking on the Giants. Is famous Jameis going to be quarterbacking, or will they bring Dart in? I mean, they got an extra day of preparation. But honestly, I think you should just go with Jameis for now. He hasn't looked bad. The offense has at least been pushing the ball downfield. You know Jameis, he's going to let it fly. And he protects himself. He's not reckless the way Dart's been where he gets banged up. And, the Patriots, they're great. They're probably going to be the number one seed in the AFC come playoff time. But there's flaws in this team. Can the Giants defense take advantage of it? Their weakness is the run game. The Patriots are not great at running. Big number. And obviously everybody's going to want to go after the Giants. They're going to want to be on the Giants after they covered last week as anywhere from 10 to 12.5 point underdogs in Detroit. Now they got to go outdoors and take on the Patriots. Man. Yeah, I mean, it's not a very confident side, and we'll obviously have more about this game on Wednesday during the NFL contest show and the Circa Lines release show. But if I were to take a side now, I would take the 7.5 with the Giants, and then maybe later on in the week, if this line moves and it goes below the 7, you could maybe try to middle it. But as of right now, I would take the Giants and take the over. This 46.5. This is a 48-point game or more. It could certainly be 28, 21, 28, 23, something like that. 28-23 really sounds like the score. The Giants get it 28-20. They go down. They kick a field goal because they can't get the touchdown, but there's time left on the clock, and then they never get an opportunity to score again, and that's how it ends, 28-23. 51 points, and they fall within the 7.5. But there you have it. That is my opinions on the early lines for Week 13. Again, we will be live on Wednesday during the Green Bay Packers Detroit Lions game. We'll be live on Wednesday for the I'll be releasing the NFL line show and the NFL contest show if we're going to use any Thursday games. We'll discuss more about what games we like for the upcoming week, and potentially if we have any plays in our Circa 5 out of the weekend games. But until then, to everybody out there, I hope you had a better week than I did. I know it's 2-3. Thankfully, the top 5 consensus had a very difficult week. We actually ended up with a better record than the top 5. And we didn't lose much ground, but we really had an opportunity to gain ground on the leaders and didn't take advantage of it. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. But I hope everybody out there had winning weeks. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your holidays. Be safe out there if you live in a place that gets nasty weather like I do. Other than that, I will see you on Wednesday for the NFL Lines release show. Thanks for watching and have a great night.